When I was about 10 years old, my family went on vacation down to the Smoky Mountains, and we had a cabin down there in the Smoky Mountains. We were able to get this cabin because our pastor, their family had went the week before us, and they had 2 weeks at the cabin, but they could only stay for one, so we got the second. They let us use the second week. So we went down there in the Smoky Mountains. There's a beautiful, beautiful cabin, beautiful scenery, and it had a lake there. And so my dad liked to fish, so I think one of my sisters, my dad and I went out in a canoe and went fishing in the lake. Now, our pastor and his family, our pastor enjoyed fishing too, and it seems like he had an unfortunate event the week before where he had lost his fishing pole, and so he had cast it, and I think a fish got a hold of it and kind of jerked it out of his hands, and then he lost his fishing pole. So we went out fishing, and I can't remember if we caught anything that day, but I do remember one thing. So my dad, cast his rod out there, cast his reel out there, and he was, reeling in. He got snagged, and he was like, "Boy, I think I got something." And he pulling. He's like, "Boy, this is really hard to get. I don't know what this is." So he started reeling, and and sure enough, it was a fishing pole. And so it was like, okay, so we happened to call the pastor and just to see, and we go, "Well, what does your fishing pole look like?" And he described it, and it was exactly the same pole that my dad had just snagged and brought up. So I mean, it was just a really weird coincidence that my dad would catch the same fishing pole that my pastor had lost the week before. And so, of course, my dad made a big deal of it. He presented it to my pastor at church the next week, had a certificate printed up saying, here's a gift because only Dwayne could catch what I could lose. And so it's just kind of an interesting story that we found something that was lost. And in the Bible, God has a penchant for finding the lost, and he enjoys that. And in fact, there are several stories about finding the lost in Luke 15. And one of them, I just want to read very quickly. It's just a 2-verse story. It says, "Suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Won't she light a lamp and sweep the entire house and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she will call in her friends and neighbors and say, 'Rejoice with me because I have found my lost coin.' In the same way, there is joy in the presence of God angels when even one sinner repents." So you can see here in this story that God takes pleasure, all of heaven takes pleasure in finding the lost. And I want to just look at another passage real quick and explain why that is. Why does God, why does he like to find the lost? Well, it says in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 6 and 7, it says, "For he raised us from the dead along with Christ and seated us with him in the heavenly realms because we are united with Christ Jesus. So God can point to us in all future ages as examples of the incredible wealth of his grace and kindness towards us, as shown in all he has done for us who are united with Christ Jesus." So you see, God enjoys finding the lost. He enjoys fixing the broken. He enjoys raising the dead. And why does he enjoy that? He enjoys that because it brings him glory. It shows how marvelous and how magnificent he is. And so for us, first of all, if you've not accepted Christ, God rejoices in finding the lost. He rejoices in raising the dead and fixing the broken, so we can trust him with that. And on the other hand, since God rejoices in that, we can also rejoice when we join him in that effort as well. So as we go through our day, let's just remember that God rejoices in fixing the broken, finding the lost, and raising the dead. And we can take courage in that, and we can join him in that process as well.